Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is Fill in Blank. Today we're going to continue our Best Soldiers in Humanity series. We'll be looking at your average tenderfoot, greenhorn, grunt. That's right, the FNG, otherwise known as the private. If generals are the brains of humanity's armies, then privates are the stubborn fat around your belly and love handles that absorb the incoming rounds. Now I know what you're thinking. How many privates actually made it far enough to become a hero before they actually became cannon fodder? Well, not many. Most of the time, these guys are just sent in mass at enemy machine gun emplacements and just torn apart. What better way to weed out the weak than through a trial by fire? After all, it's through these trials where a soldier will finally find what they're made of. For the few that do survive, though, Destiny has another plan. There's a saying that you either die as a hero or you live long enough to be a villain. But there's also a better saying that says you either die or you live long enough to become a badass. These are the type of soldiers we'll be talking about today. First up on our cannon fodder list, heroic private list, are Privates First Class Jeanette Vasquez and William Bill Hudson of the United States Colonial Marine Corps. Both were part of the platoon aboard the USS Sulaco on a rescue mission to the Weyland-Yutani-owned colony Hadley's Hope on Archeon LV-426. Private Vasquez was one of the support gunners donning an M56 Smart Gun and a Smith Wesson Model 39 pistol, with ivory grips as her personal sidearm. Private Hudson was a combat technician outfitted with a M41A pulse rifle, hacking gear, and his most essential piece of equipment, his motion tracker. Vasquez and Hudson, along with 13 other crew members, including Lieutenant Gorman, Gunnery Sergeant Apone, and Corporal Hicks, were tasked to accompany Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley in investigating a lost signal from the colony on LV-426. While there were other privates on this team, Hudson and Vasquez stood out from the rest. Hudson, while not the most heroic of the bunch, if at all, was the type of soldier we could relate to. Hudson embodied the confidence that military training gives you as a Marine, or in his case, arrogance. He was the resident comedian until he was ambushed by xenomorphs. Although he lived most of his life full of fake bravado and confidence, when things really mattered, when he stared death in the face, he did not run and went down shooting. By the way, if you really want to see a person's true colors, put them in a tiny room full of xenomorphs and just wait and see what happens. Private Vasquez, however, was a badass through and through. Even though Hudson and Vasquez both shared the same sarcastic humor and lack of mission interest, Vasquez had a chip on her shoulder. Being one of the few female Marines on the squad, she had to deal with her fair share of BS, mainly coming out of Hudson's mouth. At least on one occasion, Vasquez was asked by Hudson if she was ever mistaken as a woman. Vasquez's role is the one that most privates aspire to be, the soldier that can be relied on when things spiral out of control. She also happens to be holding one of the biggest and baddest guns in the entire group. I mean, look at it. It needs a combat harness just to operate the damn thing. Badassness aside, what makes Vasquez a hero was her sense of selflessness. She constantly put her fellow soldiers' lives before her own and wasn't afraid of fighting in the rear guard, even if it cost her life. The next soldier on our list is an unsung hero, whose story has been overshadowed by the most decorated veteran of the UNC, Master Chief Petty Officer John 117. But our story isn't about him. Everyone basically already knows the story about Master Chief. Instead, we're going to be talking about Private Grunt Class Wallace Jenkins, who, without a strong sense of duty to protect humanity at all costs, would have let calamity be brought down on Earth in the form of the Flood, almost guaranteeing the extinction of our entire human race. Private Jenkins had first encountered the Covenant when they invaded Harvest and destroyed his hometown of Glacium, killing his entire family. He would continue fighting against the Covenant at the Battle of Reach and was a part of the Marine attachment on the Pillar of Autumn and escaped the tragic human defeat at Reach. When the Pillar of Autumn arrived on Alpha Halo, Jenkins, along with Fire Team Charlie, were sent to investigate what was thought to be a Covenant weapons cache. Easy peasy, right? Wrong. When Jenkins and the team arrives to the alleged weapons cache, it actually happens to be one of Alpha Halo's flood containment facilities. The team gets ambushed by a type of flood, the infection form, and it nearly infects the entire squad, mutating and turning them into combat forms, including Private Jenkins. However, Jenkins lucked out, or maybe it was cursed. For those of you that don't know, when an infected form infects a host, the host usually dies and the flood are able to then take complete control of their host. In Jenkins' case, his infection was weakened, so he actually was able to retain some type of control over his body. This subpar infection allowed Jenkins to retain some of his consciousness, but whenever the infection had full control, Jenkins could only watch. Luck, curse, you decide. Jenkins and his new flood friends emerge from the surface to go find new enemies to eat. This time they attack a group of orbital drop shock troopers. Jenkins tries to get himself killed by ODST fire and fails. Instead, he's captured. During an interrogation, Jenkins has a brief window where he's able to gain some kind of control over his body and warn his captors that there is a huge flood infestation below them. Fast forward to the assault on the Covenant ship Truth and Reconciliation. After the Marines took over the entire ship, Jenkins once again was able to sense more flood in the ship. The Marines were attempting to take Truth and Reconciliation back to Earth, which would have been disastrous and probably led to the destruction of all life on Earth. Jenkins was again able to retain some control over his body in attempts to destroy the entire ship. While Jenkins himself failed at destroying the Truth and Reconciliation, another human understood what Jenkins was trying to do and successfully destroyed the bridge and ultimately crashed the ship onto the surface of Halo. The end. The moral of the story is no matter what you're infected with, no matter what your rank is, humanity should always come first. Although many families in the Gears of War universe fought on the front lines against the Locust and Lambent invasions, the Carmine family gave more than most. They are the constant gears that the military can depend on. The Carmine family didn't join COG out of a sense of duty though. In reality, they just like shooting guns and blowing stuff up. And as a family tradition, they never turned down a fight. Each member of the Carmine family fought in a crucial battle for humanity. Anthony was the second eldest and was a part of the Light Mass Offensive. His career unfortunately ended abruptly after he failed to abide to the golden rule of combat. The golden rule in Gears of War is simple: take cover or die. Anthony, as green as he was, forgot that rule and exposed his helmeted head while giving LT Kim a status report explaining why his Lancer kept jamming when reloading. It was at this moment when a Locust sniper took the kill shot. Benjamin was the youngest and joined Delta Squad during Operation Hollow Storm. Like his brother, he too had trouble reloading. Ben's career with Delta Squad, however, lasted a bit longer than his brother's. He was better at following the golden rule. During the Battle of Lima Sinkhole, Ben decided to stay back and give covering fire to Delta Squad as they retreated to a King Raven, and as a result he got shot in the shoulder, which eventually led him to falling off the chopper and into the Riftworm, where he was attacked by Nimikites and dragged across acid spikes, which ended his life. The last surviving member of the Carmine family, Clayton, continued fighting with the Gears until the very end of the Locust War and Lambent pandemic. He had tattoos on his body that memorialized his late brothers. They said, "Keep your head down and practice reloading." The Carmine brothers represented the values of a good soldier, which wasn't duty, patriotism, or honor, but the simple expectation to fight till the bitter end. Private Juan Johnny Rico is the embodiment of what values a soldier should have in the United Citizen Federation. He inspires courage and valor in every battle, and above all else ensures that human civilization, not insects, dominates this galaxy, now and always. Rico is a native of Buenos Aires, and after high school, he had his mind set on joining the federal service. He enlisted in the mobile infantry and was sent to boot camp under drill instructor Zim. He proved to be quite the recruit and was quickly promoted to squad leader. This, however, was short-lived. After getting one of his squad members killed during a live firing training exercise, he was punished by a public flogging and shortly after made his announcement to quit the service. As he was leaving camp, he got the news that his hometown, along with his parents, got destroyed by a bug meteor. With a newfound passion to kill bugs fueled by revenge and hate, he re-enlists and gets assigned to the elite badass unit known as the Roughnecks, led by Rico's high school teacher, Lieutenant Gene Razak.
I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you.
So you might be wondering what makes Rico such a heroic private. Well, after a very rough start, Rico quickly rebounds. He gets deployed on a mission to the planet of Tangoyarilla, where he single-handedly takes down a tanker bug in the most badass way possible, by jumping on its back, shooting a hole into it, and then dropping a grenade inside of its orange soupy insides. Ultimately, he saves his entire unit. This would be the beginning of a very promising career for Johnny Rico, who would eventually become a general, which goes to show you that some privates have the right stuff inside of them and can even reach the top. Our last scrub on our list is none other than Private Lame-ass Luke Deveraux, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme in the movie Universal Soldier. Going off script a bit here, I generally love 80s and 90s action films. I love like over-the-top violence and corny one-liners, but Universal Soldier is so poorly acted that it can actually be hard to watch. It's basically a Swedish guy and a Belgian guy trying to pretend to be American. It's so cringy.
Sergeant Scott, could I have a word with you?
I'm all ears.
Anyway, in 1969 in Vietnam, Private Luke Deveraux of the U.S. Army was ordered to secure a village from the Viet Cong, only to find that the villagers, along with his fellow squad members, were found murdered with their ears removed. The private sees that his sergeant, Andrew Scott, has developed what's known as Mike Tyson syndrome. The sergeant shoots an innocent man and then orders Deveraux to shoot an innocent woman to prove his loyalty. Van Damme, being the good-natured and moral man that he is, refuses and tries to save her. But Scott kills her with a grenade, because why shoot someone when you can go over the top in style by throwing a timed explosive device at an individual running away from you? The two then end up shooting and killing each other at close range, and the next morning a second army squad arrives and finds the two bodies. The officer in charge wants Sergeant Here's-a-Lot and Private Morals to be put on ice. Fast forward to the future, and the private and the sergeant are seen alive, it seems, as soldiers in different uniforms. Turns out that the two were chosen as a part of a secret government Universal Soldier program, or UNISOLS for short. This program genetically augmented soldiers with advanced healing capabilities and strength. They did have one weakness: when they were overexerted, they tended to overheat and shut down. On top of that, in order to keep these UNISOLs compliant, they regularly injected them with memory-suppressing serum. In other words, these were zombie soldier members of a SWAT team with suppressed PTSD. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I don't want to completely ruin the story for those of you who would want to watch this movie for some reason. The spirit of a moral and righteous soldier should be able to overcome anything, even the death of all your brain cells after you lose a massive amount of blood and suffer several fatal gunshots to vital organs on your body. So whether it's turning into a zombie or a werewolf, or in this case an undead super soldier, nothing can really make Van Damme forget how to love and kick people in the face. So there you have it, guys. Those are some of the most heroic soldiers in humanity. Let me know in the comment section below which ones are your favorites. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that life is a movie and you are the protagonist.